probably be sitting down when I'm telling you this story, but because it could get kind of long. But watching all of these drum auditions for Primus, the Interstellar Drum Derby, it really brought back some memories for me. And as I stated in the title, it brings back one audition in particular that I completely blew. And I'm going to tell you why and how I completely ruined this audition. Moving back a couple of decades, Beck was looking for a new bassist. A close friend and former musical colleague of mine knew him, or still does to this day. He knows Beck, he's friends with him, and he vouched for me. So he contacts me and he says, listen, you're going to hear from Beck. You're going to hear from his team or his assistant or somebody, and they're going to give you this audition because he's looking for a new bassist, and I really think that you would fit in with him. Let me back up just a little bit more to not get you guys all confused. I'm just going to call him D. So my friend D, he had a couple of opportunities that he tried to run by me, several, as a matter of fact. More notably, I've told you guys in other videos, I'm not real comfortable with like throwing around a bunch of names and name dropping, but I just kind of feel like it's appropriate in the context of this story. One of them was Social Distortion. Smashing Pumpkins was looking for a bassist, but I really felt like I didn't fit in with these bands. But the Beck gig, I felt like I could do it. Like I could fit in, I could see myself playing Beck's music. Especially after, you know, like the stuff I heard on Midnight Vultures and stuff, because at the time that all this came about, the only Beck albums that I had to my name, I had Odelay and I had Midnight Vultures. That was it. That was all I knew about Beck. I know that there was Mellow Gold out there, but I never bought Mellow Gold. But anyway, Odelay was my introduction to Beck, and I listened to that record a lot. So I knew a lot of the tracks off of there, but he didn't want to really play anything off of that album. So I got an email, and I do have emails to prove it, so I will show that stuff here on the screen. If you don't see it, it's probably because I messed up, because I've messed up in other videos. But yeah, I will try to make sure I post the email that I got from Beck's team. They gave me dates that I could come out and do the audition, and I told them which date worked best for me. They scheduled me for that date, and I proceeded to learn the songs. Most of the songs that Beck wanted me to learn were from the Guero record, Sea Change, and The Information. Hence me releasing this on today's date, but I might just cut that out. But anyway, so I started learning these songs, but there was a big problem that I was having back here in Atlanta. I had been on what was stacking up to be about a 4-year hiatus from performing at all. I wasn't recording with anyone. My confidence in being able to nail this gig was pretty low out of the gate, but I began to really get my confidence back as I worked through those songs. And I just, day and night, I would just sit and play through those songs. I would listen. If I drove anywhere, I was listening. But the big problem that I had is I had this business that I was running here. This business was taking off. It was not in the music business, although it did involve people in the music and film industry. It was not the music business. So I was not playing music, and I was very, very covered up. I was very busy. I was overwhelmed. I was discombobulated, and it dominated all of my time because it was paying my bills. And I felt like, hey, you know what? I need to focus on what pays my bills. I don't need to mess with anything else. Hang on a second. I was ready by the time I went in for that audition. Anyway, I get there for the audition. The guy on the drums, I had admired this drummer for many, many years. I first saw him play with a band called Course of Empire. His name's Michael Jerome. This guy is one of my favorite drummers in the whole world. Like, I love his drumming. He is so terribly underrated. First time I saw him, I was at a Course of Empire show. He was playing drums with them. They had 2 drummers in the band. And then many years later, I played a gig opening up for him when he was playing with a band called the Pleasure Club in James Hall. They just blew us away. They were so amazing. Anyway, he was there on the drums, so I was like really excited. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I can't believe I'm gonna get to play with you. Like, so it made me feel so much more comfortable to know that he was there playing drums. Another member of Beck's band comes into the room, and at this studio, like, by the way, so much was going on that day that I went in for the audition, because this was like, there were multiple studios going on. Like, we have a studio here in Atlanta called Avatar, where I had told you guys in some of those stories where I'm working in a studio doing something and someone will come over from the next studio and say, hey, we need your help. This is something that used to happen all the time. I don't know what goes on these days, but back then that was like, all musicians knew each other. Like, that's why I don't really feel it's necessary to name drop. We were all around one another back in those days. So there was a lot of stuff going on that day, like other things that had nothing to do with me, and I'm hearing music that would go on to be on the radio while they're tracking it. It was a really special moment, and it was a fun experience, right? But I've been there before. So this guy comes in there, really cool guy. He's like Beck's main man at the time. This guy was also a main man of Ken Andrews from the band Failure. And I took the time to tell him how much I loved the band Failure, and I loved Ken Andrews' solo work and the Year of the Rabbit stuff. Anything that Ken Andrews does, I'm a huge fan of it. So anyway, we start working on the songs, and he tells me Beck's not going to be here. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he's not going to be here. So we're going to run through the songs, and I'm going to go back to him and let him know how the audition went. And he goes, and we're filming this audition. So we proceed to go through the audition. But I gotta tell you, I was a little bit, I was disappointed. You know, I learned all that stuff, the backing vocals and everything. He wasn't there. After that audition, I sat out there and I talked to Michael for a while, and he had told me that they had to get him in there at the last minute to play drums. And this is something I'll probably cut out of the video, but either way, I was frustrated. I'm like, gosh, man, I went through a lot of trouble to come out here for this for this audition, and the guy I came out here to audition for is not here. And I was really put off by the situation, but at the same time, in a really weird way, I was relieved, because my heart wasn't totally in that audition and that opportunity. And the reason I connect this back to the Primus auditions is you see these guys go in there, and some of them, these are all great drummers. Primus does not have lousy drummers coming to try out for them. They did a very good job of screening who they were going to bring in, or vetting out the drummers and making sure they didn't bring in people who were slouches, as Les Claypool put it. But the thing that I did not realize at the time, that I later on and quickly realized, is that if you are not dedicated to that gig, then you're wasting not only your time, but you're wasting the band who's calling you in there. So not knowing the songs, coming in there and asking for autographs. Yes, people did this to Beck. People were asking him for autographs. You just don't do that. This is what was happening with him. And obviously he had found his person. I had found this out, that he had found the bass player halfway through the auditions that he wanted. And he really felt good about this bassist, so he decided to go with that bassist and didn't bother coming in on the last day of auditions. Quick insert here. It turns out that for that 2008 album that Beck was working on when he was auditioning his new band, and that was another thing I stand corrected on, it wasn't just a bassist he was looking for. He was also looking for a drummer and a second guitarist. So Jason Faulkner, Beck himself, Jason Faulkner of Jellyfish fame, who now plays with St. Vincent. He's in her band now. And Matt Mahaffey, who is Self. And if you have not heard of Self, you should listen to Self, because Self is awesome. All musicians love Jellyfish, because Jellyfish they're gods to me. But anyway, so those guys ended up taking over and doing bass in 2008, at least in the studio. I have no idea who the live band ended up being, but it turned out that, as stated in the email as well, because they asked me if I had a passport, and they also asked me if I had a criminal record, which of course my answer was no, because I do not have a criminal record. But I also was working on a passport, but I didn't quite have it yet. So I ended up getting a passport for Beck, and just ended up using that passport to travel and see other things, ultimately. But for whatever reason, he decided to let us go through the auditioning process anyway, so that he could make sure that he was confident with his decision. Obviously he was, and he chose whoever he chose. So here's the part where I get into lessons learned from this audition. First of all, I should have said this from the top. This video was not designed to offend anyone, to humiliate anyone, to throw anyone under the bus. I was grateful for the opportunity, and it was all on me. I didn't do my part. So to all the people who have tried out for Primus or any other bands, or who tried out for Beck, this is not in any shape, form, or fashion bashing you people. This is about me, okay? They gave me an opportunity to come in there pretty much day one. I knew other musicians who went there to audition, and Beck was there when he went to do that audition. So he was there, and he was there for a couple days doing those auditions day in and day out. He got tired of it, I'm sure, and he found his person, he felt good about him, and he picked them. So number one, if you want something, and it's just like this guy, John Hoffman, who got the gig, he really wanted the gig and he was ready for the gig. I was neither of those things. You know, I liked Beck's music. I thought it was great. I would have done it, but I wasn't truly ready, and nor was I really super enthused about it. And that showed by me telling them, no, even though you're offering me to come in there on the first day, you're making that offer, I'm going to go on and come in towards the end of the week. I think they said I could have came in on a Monday, which was day one of auditions. I was like, nah, I'll come in there on Thursday or something stupid like that. I'm not kidding. I did this. And I know some of you people are probably like, what a fool. But hey, yeah, you're right. I was a fool. And I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was so in limbo. I've been through a lot of crazy stuff in the music business. A lot of it has left a bad taste in my mouth. I wouldn't change any of it. I've learned a lot, and I've been around a lot of people who are doing quite well for themselves today. And I'm very, very happy for those people. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm so happy for the people I know and the people I came up with that are doing very well, and they are very successful in the music industry. That was what they wanted, and they were willing to work their asses off for it. Me, on the other hand, people tell me, you know, I have talent, but I'm lazy. I'm a lazy musician. And I was being lazy about this audition. I was more concerned about how my business was going to be run because, hey, it was paying my bills. And I have talked to other musicians who have done really, really well, and they've been there. They've played like stadium gigs. And I'm sitting here talking to them, and I was telling this guy like why I had my nervous breakdown and went into the business I was doing, because this guy was running a studio here in Atlanta. And he said, you wanted to be happy. You got to pay your bills. And when you can't pay your bills, it starts to really affect you. And when you've got a family, you've got people counting on you, it really gets tough to do this. And because of that, I was not prepared for the job, nor did I really want it. I just didn't really want the gig. When you're in a position to take advantage of an opportunity like that, you got to make sure that you really want to do it. I didn't. It took me years to realize that. Months after that audition, I realized that I was wrong to say, hey, even though you guys are giving me first dibs on this audition, like they literally said, you know, you take your pick. Which day do you want to come in? Here's day one. Do you want it? I said, no, I got to work. I got a business to run. I'll get there after that. I told them that. So that added to him not being there. Why would he care? He's like, this guy is more concerned with other things. He really doesn't want this. So I found my person. You guys can just let him know that I won't be here when he gets here. So thank you, Beck, for teaching me that lesson. I'm just letting you know I am not mad at you, dude. I think your music is awesome. I don't think I'm the right guy for you, but either way, I still made an effort to come out there. And I blew it. And I blew it by not showing you that I was dedicated to the gig. So for that, I'm the one who's wrong. And I don't vilify you or anybody else, really. I'm going to admit this. I've had to have my arm twisted many times in the music business. And some people are like, what? I remember one time being in LA. We were mixing an album out there. This was many years ago, okay? A friend of mine, he came by to see the studio. Or he just came by to hang out with me. He lived in LA. And he looked around the studio. He's looking around. He's like, I came out here to Los Angeles. I drove all the way out here from Atlanta to make it in the music business. And here you are. He's like, I say this with love, but he's like, you always have been so laid back about playing music, or like just the grind, like the gigging, the studio stuff. I was very slack about this. I was the ultimate slacker bass player, but I could play. that was the thing, is people would tell me all the time, they're like, you can play. You know, they need me to do something, I would do it and I would execute it. He said, I gotta tell you, it kind of irks me a little bit. You're just kind of sitting around delivering pizzas and you get this killer opportunity and here you are. He's like, so I'm happy for you, but it's a little bit like, God, you know, like it's all about, I don't know, man. It's just that whole thing with like luck meeting preparation. You gotta be ready. And that's why now, every day, I play, like regardless. And when I have more time, I play a lot. But I make sure that I pick this thing up every day and work on things and try to like keep progressing with the instrument. So yeah, that's how I blew that gig. If you guys have any similar stories or you've been through anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your story. I mean, like, by far, hands down, that was a gig that I blew before I even got on the plane to fly out to Los Angeles. I had already lost the gig. You know, I see these other videos and watching these other auditions and hearing all the things these guys say. And some of these guys are so well adjusted and they are so focused on what they want. It really taught me a lot about what it takes to really make it in the music industry, because you can't make it in this industry if you're just kind of like, well, I'm going to do things my way, because that's kind of how I was. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show up. I'll play when I'll get there when I get there. I don't like sound check. Like this is the kind of stuff that I used to say to my bandmates. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. That's why I almost lost this bass, because as soon as I'm walking off stage, I'm starting to drink and do whatever else and disappear. I didn't have the right mindset, you know, and it really hurt me. And now I really enjoy doing what I'm doing here. You know, I love making these videos. I love talking about what I've been through. But yeah, to say that, I think jealous is a strong word, because I'm not jealous of anybody, but I gotta say, it hurts a little bit when you see people who really were on your side and they were trying to help you stepping up and getting Grammys. It kind of hurts a little bit when you're doing something for a living that you don't truly love and you're looking back on your life, you're not getting any younger, and you're seeing your peers, your musical peers especially, and your contemporaries go further and further and further. People that you played in little, like, crappy clubs with, like the band Muse, like, just, you know, just the list goes on. Like, we played with so many different people. I've met so many people in the industry. And when I see them doing all this stuff, I do think, like, man, I really blew it. And that's why I tell people, like, you can't give up, because that's one thing that all those guys have in common. All these people who made it, they wanted it so much more than I did. And it took me forever to truly admit that, to stand in front of a mirror and say, dude, you just didn't want it. You got exactly what you asked for. You didn't try. And I'm telling you guys, I don't care how things used to be. If you keep working at whatever you're doing, you keep trying, the universe has no choice but to hear you. So that is the lesson to be learned. Like, don't give up ever. Just keep at it. Because I'm telling you, I know some dudes that just wouldn't give up. And even when it looked like they were never going to go anywhere, they just kept at it. And there they are, you know? And I am so happy for each and every one of you. If any of you guys see this video and you know me, I want you guys to know I love you. I'm so happy for you. Give me a holler if you're looking to be part of a big comeback story, because right now I need a comeback more than ever, really, because this is becoming all that I have doing this YouTube channel, really, because everything else, I'm just not excited about it. Like, I love music. I love it more than anything. I'm dedicated to music, and I'm more dedicated to my own music. But yeah, this is the only thing that works for me lately. So here you go with another one, and I'll have another one out for you as soon as humanly possible. Thanks for watching.